Welcome, welcome, welcome to GiRLiFE Live on this Wednesday morning. So excited to be here with all of you because I have a topic that I think we could all really use right now. And this is all about empowering the young people in our lives. And for that matter, it's about empowering everyone in our lives, right? Like if we use the tools that I'm about to share with you guys, if we really take on the challenges that I'm going to present to each of you, because there is a challenge that goes with each of the principles I'm going to introduce, I think to empower their lives. Now, is not something we can give to someone, right? It's something we can nurture, though. In the way that we show up, we can actually influence the way somebody else shows up. And there's a great deal of power in that. Not holding on to this idea that we want to change anyone, but that if we show up in an empowered way, if we see the best in others, that they will actually potentially show up in a more empowered way. So welcome to Stephanie and Jamie and Melanie and Marie and Jenna, our new interns. So excited to have you guys all here. And I'm so excited to discuss the principles of empowerment with you. Before we start, a few announcements. And while I'm getting those announcements out there, get your notepads, because I really want you to take notes today, and I want you to jot down each and every one of those challenges, okay? So a few things. This weekend, we have our mindset training coming up. I am so psyched. I've heard from so many of you saying 8 days was awesome, but way too long for a training. So I have really heard you, and I'm delivering a 2-day intensive at noon Eastern Standard Time on Saturday and Sunday. The replays will be up until Tuesday night. And what's going to happen is you guys are going to learn all about the ways that we block ourselves, ways that we get in our own way, the ways that we stop ourselves from doing the thing that we know we're supposed to do. So we're really going to get deep into that mindset in a 2-day intensive. What's super cool about this intensive is if you show up, if you participate, if you add other women into our group before the training begins and during the training, you will be entered for a draw for a GiRLiFE Certification scholarship. So the scholarship is valued at $4,400, and it can be yours by simply participating, showing up, bringing your high vibes, adding other like-minded women to our group by simply, I can either give you the link to our Facebook group, or you could go ahead and add them on your own through the invite tab in our group. You will be entered for a scholarship. So there's a lot of goodness coming at you guys. Mark those calendars, because I know Facebook can get funky and sometimes you don't get to actually see who's going live and when. So mark your calendars for this coming Saturday and Sunday, May 16th and 17th at noon Eastern Standard Time. We should be going for about an hour and 15 minutes. So I sincerely hope to see you guys there. And let's dive into our topic. The reason it was really important to me right now to do this challenge is because a lot of us have our kids at home. A lot of us have our spouses at home. A lot of us are really activated because we are working in a new way. We're operating in a new way with our families, more present. We are constricted for space. And it's really triggering. I think it's really triggering. I know for me it has been, because I have been working from home for years and years. I've had my space. I've had the luxury of moving from one room to another, going from the kitchen into the living room to run various tasks. And now I find every time I want to do one of these videos, or every time I need silence to really work on something, when I'm doing content creation, I have to talk to a million different people to just make sure that I can have that space. And I know they're feeling the same way. So we're all feeling it. Give me some hearts if you know what I'm saying. But I thought for this reason, we need to shift our focus, change the lens through which we are seeing the current situation, and actually show up in a new way for ourselves and for our loved ones, specifically the ones who are living under our roof. So this is the Empower Her Challenge, but you can use this to really vibe with anyone in your life. You principles of empowerment to anyone in your life. Pam says she can relate. Yeah, I think we all to a certain degree can definitely relate to this. So, all right, so number one, we're gonna do 5 principles. I'd love for you to jot them down so you can really get deep into them when we are off of this live, and you can actually practice them and put them into action. So number one is to see the best in your child. Now, once again, this could go for your spouse, this could go for a parent, whomever you may be living with. See the best in them, okay? There's a quote by Wayne Dyer. It's literally one of my favorite quotes. It has helped me through so many challenges to shift my lens, to literally take my head and let me look at something from a different perspective. And it is see the light in others and treat them as if that's all you see, right? Because if you can stop searching for the negative parts of someone and looking more for the positive attributes, looking for the light in them and actually treating them as if that's all you see, guess what? They are going to show up with that positivity because they will be seen for that positivity. They will be seen for the good stuff, not the negative stuff. So see and treat them as if that's all you see. If anyone would like to put it into the comments below, it's a really, really powerful quote, and I really invite you to embrace it for this particular challenge. So when it comes to our children, like catch them doing something right. Okay, like how often do we catch them doing something wrong? Like, don't do this, clean up that, you didn't do your homework, whatever it may be, right? Like the list is endless of the things we catch them doing wrong. I want you to really search for catching them to do something right. Get into that mindset of catching them when they're, doing the homework, or when they're taking the dog out on their, or they're preparing a healthy meal for themselves, or whatever it may be. It's different in every household, but catch them doing something right and acknowledge them for it. Be like, I noticed you took James out to go pee on your own. I'm really like, thank you. That was super helpful. Like catch them doing something right. And speak behind their back about it, right? Usually when we talk about speaking behind someone's back, it's something negative. I invite you to catch them doing something right, and not only acknowledge them, but talk to someone else in the house, or when you're talking to your sister on the phone, like let your kid hear you saying, hey, you know what? The kids were super helpful today. They actually helped me make dinner. When they know that they are valued and that you are seeing them for the good, they will show up with more good. I hope you guys can relate to some of the stuff that I'm saying. So the first thing is see the light in others and treat them as if that's all you see. Notice those strengths, notice the good stuff, call them out on the good stuff, praise them for the good stuff, and then let them catch you talking behind their back in a positive way, okay? So the challenge that goes along with this particular principle of seeing the best in your child, your spouse, whomever it may be, is this week, commit to noticing and calling him or her out on one positive action at least per day, okay? One positive action at least per day. I want you to really get active about seeking the good stuff. Remember, we are so powerful, right? Whenever we look for something negative or unfulfilling or just detrimental, we will find it. But we are so powerful that we can shift that lens. We can actually start looking for something that's positive and impactful and good. So switch that lens, notice them doing something good. That is number one. I hope that serves you. Number two, and this goes specifically for in my mind with the work that we do here with Girls Empowerment. We need to model positive self-talk, right? So we so often catch ourselves, and maybe we don't catch ourselves because it's such a subconscious thing. We are speaking ill to ourselves, right? We say things to ourselves that we would never say to our kid, that we would never say to our spouse, we would never say to our best friends, right? But we say them to ourselves, and that is so counterintuitive when we are trying to raise empowered humans. If we want to truly raise empowered humans, we need to start right here. We need to look in the mirror. We need to be proud of what we see. We need to find the good in what we see, right? Because when that kid finds you looking in that mirror and saying, I'm overweight, or I have a pimple, or oh my God, my wrinkles, like they are going to internalize that language. And guess what, guys? You know this. They will take it on for themselves. It'll become their own inner dialogue. So the quote here is self-acceptance actually vaccinates your child. In this case, Naomi Wolf says your daughter, your child's low self-esteem. Self-acceptance actually vaccinates your daughter against low self-esteem. How amazing is that? That if we just do the inner work, we're already halfway there with raising an empowered human who values herself and loves herself and sees the good in herself. Okay, guys, this is so, so important. So I want you guys today to look in that mirror and call yourself out on something good and let them catch you doing that, okay? Let them catch you doing that. Check your own internal dialogue, know how much power your words and your language have, and heighten your awareness, right? Like heighten that awareness. Know that they are absorbing, they are sponges, they are brilliant beyond measure, and know that they are hearing what you're saying. So really, by working on yourself, it's a win-win, right? For you and your child, because you're creating a positive and nurturing space to love yourself, and you're giving them the permission and the guidance to do that as well. So Jenna is saying, that's such a great idea. Never thought of that. I'm glad that it resonates. Jenna, Aiju says, yes, I strongly believe that I only spoke good things about my hubby and child, and that beauty in them each day. That's beautiful. And I promise you, and I think you already know this, the vibration in your household is raised because you're searching for those positive vibes. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. So the challenge that goes along with this is, how can you model positive self-talk? Simple. How can you model positive self-talk? I want you to commit to modeling positive self-talk once a day at least. Okay, guys? So that was number 2. Number 3 is teach them to trust their own inner voice. If you've been a part of the GiRLiFE mission, whether you're a facilitator or a teacher or a mom who's part of our community, you know that I am obsessed with teaching young people how to access their intuition. It is so important for them when they have, when they're puzzled about something, when there's a challenge, when there's a decision to. It is so important for them to trust their own inner voice, right? That inner voice of knowing. In our workshops, we call it the voice of the heart. So often when we struggle as women, we call up the doctor, we call up the spouse, we call up the sister, we call up the BFF, and we ask everyone for advice on how we can show up for this problem or this circumstance that we're having. And the first thing we really need to be doing is looking within, because everything we need is right here. We are the only ones who see the world from our specific set of lenses, because we have had certain challenges and experiences and growth journeys that have led us to this very place. So why is it that we look outside of ourselves, right, to bring clarity to what we already know is in here? We just don't take the time to figure it out. So I want you to teach your children to trust their own inner voice, to trust their own intuition. And how do you do that? Well, first of all, I'll give you a quote. The way we speak to our children becomes their inner voice, right? So if we believe in their inner voice, they will believe in their own inner voice. If we give them the confidence to know that their opinions matter, their feelings matter, their thoughts matter, they will come to adopt that mindset and feel that they have value, that they have something to bring to the table. So we can do this by validating their feelings, asking their opinions, valuing their input. I know when I was growing up, I always kind of felt like I'm a kid, I don't have much to offer, right? And I know that's because adults, well-meaning adults, would treat you in that way. They would kind of dismiss your opinions, dismiss what you're saying, and really focus on the other adults in the room. I don't know if anyone's experienced that. Let me know if you have. I'd love to alone, I didn't feel like what I had to say really mattered. So let's change this pattern, guys, and let's make these children feel seen and heard. So the challenge for this particular empowerment principle is ask thought-provoking questions of your child. When you ask thought-provoking questions, it makes them think. And when you listen, when you actively listen, it makes them feel seen and heard, understood, valued, all the things that we need for them to grow up to be strong human beings, right? So when you ask those thought-provoking questions, ask an open-ended question and prompt them to come up with their own solutions, right? Prompt them to be the authority in their own life and to share it with you, and be sure that you listen, right? Listen and silent have the same letters in them, just rearranged. So whenever you are trying to actively, be sure that you're being silent and you're truly hearing what they have to say, not hearing to respond, but hearing to truly absorb and acknowledge what they are saying. So that was the challenge for principle. This is one of my favorite ones. And the fourth one is teach your child how powerful they are, right? Because knowledge is power. Just knowing that you have that power has such a strong way of making you just be like, oh, wait a second, I'm that powerful, I'm that capable, I'm that brilliant. When this happens, we are able to literally step into our own power because we just know it. We know it and we own it. I didn't know how powerful I was. There was no one telling me that, right? These weren't messages that were floating around when I was growing up. I don't know about you guys, but knowledge is power. So when we tell them how powerful they are, it's unbelievable the way that they can show up for themselves and for the people around them. Within each of us lies a personal power that creates our world. Use it wisely. This is something I always say. So how do we teach them to find their own power? Ask her about her strengths. Ask her, what do you think are some of your strongest attributes? Give attention to the positive stuff, as we've already discussed, because what we give attention to grows. And it's really, really important to acknowledge that. And teach them that their superpowers are created in so many different ways. Some are God-given gifts that come when we're born, and others come from experiences. This is like we have a whole workshop on this in our curriculum called Uncovering My Own Superpowers, because every human being has millions of superpowers, but until we know it, until someone sits down and says to us, hey, hun, you have so many gifts to share with the world, we don't really know it, right? We don't know it until we're in our 20s and 30s and 40s. It's time to introduce them to those powers right now, guys. So the challenge with this is share your own unique superpowers. When you sit and have a conversation with your kid about all of your own gifts, all of your own strengths and superpowers, and ask them about theirs, it opens up once again for that knowledge of just knowing that they are powerful beyond measure. So that was number 4, guys. We are on the last one, and the last one is reintroduce her to her imagination. The quote here, oh gosh, do I not have it? Yeah, here's the quote. Logic will take you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere. And that's Einstein's quote. And it's so important to really honor this because, as kids, we have these powerful imaginations. We're constantly visualizing and creating and curious. And older, we are more in the kind of thinking. We want our kids to be as they grow into the women that they're meant to be, right? We want them to have that out of the box thinking because it's super, super important. So we need to imagine with our children. We need to go there with them. Tell them about how powerful that imagination is. And it's unbelievable. Re-access that imagination, how creative you can be, how creative you can be in projects, how creative you can be in school, how creative you can be to find solutions for problems that you haven't been able to really get through in the past. So reintroducing our kids to their imaginations is everything. So the challenge for this particular principle is this week, creatively collaborate with your child to create a fresh solution to a challenge one of you is experiencing. So, we lead by example. So you might show up and be like, this is what's going on. Let's get creative. Maybe I can find a way through this that I've never really thought of. Let's use our imaginations to go there together. And that's really, really powerful. So as you could see, the underlying thread to all of these principles is us meeting them where they're at and really, really trying to catch them in all the good and introduce them to all the good that is already inside of them. So I hope that these have been valuable for you guys. As I said before, we have our mindset training coming up this weekend. It's going to be on Saturday and Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be together for about an hour and 15 minutes each day. And this is my answer to all of you who said, I'm so tired because I'm homeschooling or I'm just exhausted. 8 days is way too long for a training. So I've turned it into a 2-day intensive. I'm so excited to see you guys there. There will be an opportunity for a scholarship. So all you have to do is start adding your like-minded friends to this group, the Business of Empowering Girls. Participate as much as you can during the 2 live day event. And just be there with us. That's all we require. And we will enter your name for our certification program, which is valued at $4,400. So I hope you will join us. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on my YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more empowering content and check us out at www.getgirlpower.com.